Charles Bronson walks into Gold's Gym Venice Beach, carrying a small towel when a massive bodybuilder takes one look at his lean frame and laughs. Another Hollywood weakling trying to play tough. Real strength comes from real training, not movie magic. What happens in the next 10 seconds doesn't just silence the entire gym. It teaches everyone there the difference between looking strong and being strong. Venice Beach, California, July 1972. Saturday afternoon, 2 p.m. Gold's Gym at its legendary peak, the Iron Mecca where champions are forged and egos are shattered. This isn't a health club or fitness center. This is a serious training facility for serious iron addicts. No air conditioning, no juice bar, no mirrors covering every wall, just rusty barbells, concrete floors, and the relentless clang of iron plates meeting gravity. The air is thick with chalk dust and honest sweat. The sound of grunting effort mixing with classic rock from a portable radio missing half its speakers. This is where the biggest, strongest men in California come to prove themselves. Where Mr. Olympia contestants train beside construction workers and dock workers, all united by the common religion of heavy weight moved through space. Charles Bronson pushes through the heavy door. He's 51 years old, 5'9". 185 pounds of functional muscle wrapped tight over a working man's frame, wearing simple gray sweatpants and a white t-shirt, both showing their age. Work boots instead of training shoes because he's learned that fancy equipment doesn't make you stronger, effort does. The gym is packed with giants, men built like monuments to muscle, walking advertisements for protein powder and steroid experimentation. The smallest guy in here probably weighs 210. Most go well over 250. Men who measure success in bench press numbers and bicep circumference, who see someone Charles's size as irrelevant in their world of mass and power. Charles walks to an empty squat rack, starts his warm-up routine. Nothing flashy. Bodyweight squats, arm circles, basic movements to prepare his joints for real work. To the bodybuilders around him, it looks like he's wasting time. Real men jump straight to heavy weight, they think. Warm-ups are for weaklings. At the bench press station, a group of serious lifters are taking turns pushing massive weight. Leading the group is Big Mike Morrison, 6'4", 280 pounds of competition-ready muscle, arms like oak trees, chest that could serve as a coffee table. Former Mr. California, current contender for Mr. America, known throughout the gym as one of the strongest natural lifters on the West Coast. Mike notices Charles immediately. That lean build doesn't belong in a serious gym. He thinks, that movie star face and those work-worn hands suggest someone playing pretend, someone who wandered into the wrong environment, thinking he could fake his way through real training. Mike is benching 405 pounds for reps, making it look easy, drawing admiration from the crowd gathered around his platform. Showtime at Gold's, where lifting heavy is performance art and everyone wants to be the star. After his set, Mike stands up, chalk on his hands, sweat on his forehead, basking in the attention. That's when he notices Charles loading Olympic barbell with what looks like modest weight, 185 pounds. Not even Mike's warm-up weight. Look at this, Mike announces to his training partners, voice carrying across the gym. Hollywood's finest gracing us with his presence. Bet he's here doing research for his next tough guy role. Laughter ripples through the crowd. Not malicious exactly, just the dismissive chuckling of men who think they know better, who think they've seen it all, who think movie tough is all special effects and camera angles. Charles hears the comments, doesn't react, doesn't turn around, just continues preparing for his workout, checking the bar, adjusting the height, focusing on his own training. He's dealt with this before. Different gyms, different cities, same assumptions about actors and authenticity. But Mike isn't done. The audience and atmosphere give him confidence, make him feel like the room's entertainment, like everyone's watching and waiting for him to put the pretender in his place. Actors are weaklings, Mike declares, loud enough for Charles to hear. All show no substance. Put them in a real gym with real weight, and they fold like paper. Movie magic can't help you when iron doesn't lie. The gym grows quieter, fewer plates clanging, more attention focused on this corner. People sense confrontation brewing. Some look uncomfortable, others curious. A few seem eager for entertainment, for the chance to see a celebrity exposed as a fraud. Charles positions himself under the barbell, 185 pounds loaded, ready to squat. Still hasn't acknowledged Mike or his comments, just focuses on his breathing, his setup, his preparation for the work ahead. Mike walks over, arms crossed over his massive chest, towering over Charles like a mountain looking down on a hill. "You hear me, movie man?" Mike says. "I'm talking to you." Charles looks up, meets Mike's eyes with the calm certainty of a man who has nothing to prove to anyone but chooses to educate when necessary. "I hear you," Charles says quietly. His voice carries no anger, no defensiveness, just acknowledgement that this moment was always inevitable. Mike grins. The grin of a man who thinks he's already won, who thinks size and reputation equal dominance in all situations. "So what do you say, tough guy?" Mike challenges. "Ready to show us what Hollywood strength looks like, or should we call your stunt double?" The entire gym has gone quiet now. 30 serious lifters watching, waiting, expecting to see a movie star get humbled by real iron and real strength. Charles steps back from the squat rack, looks at the 185 pounds loaded on the bar, then at Mike's expectant face. "You think this weight is too light for real training?" Charles asks. Mike laughs. "Brother, I warm up with more than that. Real men start at 315, work up to 500. That's barely a stretching weight." Charles nods thoughtfully. "You're right. This weight won't prove anything about strength." Mike's grin widens. Finally, the movie star admits reality, but Charles continues. "It will prove something about pain tolerance." Before Mike can ask what he means, Charles moves. He doesn't get under the barbell. Instead, he grabs one of the 45-pound plates off the bar, holds it at arm's length, parallel to the floor. Nothing spectacular, nothing that looks impressive to men accustomed to moving hundreds of pounds. "Hold this position for 60 seconds, Charles says calmly. Arms straight out, plate parallel to the floor. Mike stares. "That's it? Hold a 45-pound plate? Brother, I can curl that weight all day." "Then do it," Charles says simply. Mike takes the plate, extends his arms, holds it out. Easy. His massive deltoids and arms make 45 pounds feel like nothing. He looks around, grinning at his audience, waiting for whatever point Charles thinks he's making. 10 seconds pass, still easy. 20 seconds. Mike's arms are rock steady, his expression confident. 30 seconds. A slight tremor appears in Mike's left arm. Nothing major, just the first hint that this isn't as simple as it looked. 40 seconds. The tremor spreads to both arms. Mike's face shows the first sign of concern. 50 seconds. Mike's arms are shaking visibly now. The 45-pound plate feels like it weighs twice as much, 3 times as much. His massive muscles, built for explosive power, aren't designed for this kind of sustained tension. 55 seconds. Mike's face is red, sweat breaking out on his forehead. His arms are screaming, his shoulders burning, his entire upper body consumed by fire he didn't know existed. At 58 seconds, Mike drops the plate. It hits the floor with a loud clang that echoes through the silent gym. Mike stands there, arms hanging at his sides, shaking slightly, looking at Charles with new understanding, not just respect, recognition. The recognition that comes when you realize strength has dimensions you never considered. "Jesus," Mike whispers. "How long can you hold it?" Charles picks up the plate, extends his arms, settles into position. His form is perfect, his breathing controlled, his expression calm. This isn't effort for him. This is just work. 1 minute passes. Charles's arms remain steady. 2 minutes. Still no tremor, no visible strain. 3 minutes. The gym is dead silent. 30 men watching in fascination and growing respect. At 4 minutes, Charles finally lowers the plate, sets it down gently, rolls his shoulders once, looks at Mike with those steady eyes. "Farm work," Charles explains simply. "Pennsylvania coal country. Loading coal trucks by hand. 16 hours a day. When you're poor, You learn to work through pain. When you're hungry, you learn to keep working when everything hurts. Mike stares at him, massaging his own sore shoulders, understanding something fundamental about the difference between gym strength and functional strength, between building muscle and building endurance, between looking strong and being strong where it counts. I'm not trying to embarrass you, Charles continues. You're strong, really strong. You can move incredible weight. But strength isn't just about maximum weight for one rep. Sometimes it's about carrying moderate weight until the job is done. Charles looks around the room, meeting the eyes of men who are seeing him differently now. I don't train to impress anyone, he says. I train to stay functional, to be able to do whatever work needs doing, for however long it needs doing. That's what real life requires. Mike extends his hand, not in defeat, but in respect. The handshake of one working man acknowledging another. I was wrong about you, Mike says. I thought all that Hollywood stuff meant you were soft. Charles shakes his hand firmly. Hollywood is where I work. This, he gestures around the gym. This is how I stay ready to work. The tension in the room breaks. Conversations resume. Men who thought they were about to see a celebrity get exposed instead learn something about different kinds of strength, about the difference between spectacular and sustainable. Mike asks Charles to show him more exercises, functional movements, endurance challenges, ways to build strength that serves life instead of just ego. They train together for the next hour, Mike learning that real strength often looks ordinary but feels extraordinary. When Charles finally leaves, he doesn't sneak out or hurry away. He shakes hands with several of the lifters, gives advice to a young bodybuilder struggling with plateau, says goodbye like a regular gym member, not a celebrity making an appearance. The story spreads through the bodybuilding community, not as gossip or celebrity drama, but as education about different approaches to strength, about the difference between training for show and training for function. Years later, when Mike becomes a trainer himself, he tells his clients about the day Charles Bronson taught him that real strength isn't always visible in the mirror, that the man who can carry weight longest often matters more than the man who can carry the most weight once. 10 seconds to accept a challenge. 4 minutes to prove a point. A lifetime of understanding that strength serves purpose, not ego. That's what Gold's Gym learned that day. Real strength doesn't need to be spectacular. It just needs to be reliable. And when the moment comes to prove it, it endures. Charles Bronson didn't need to outlift anyone. He just needed to outlast them, and in the end, endurance always wins.